Hello everyone, our esteemed viewers. We are in week 41 of 2025, Uganda's Independence Week, and we welcome you to this week's episode of the Checkmate 256. My name is Harold Turije, your wonderful host today, and I'm doing this with my friend, the Prince of Chitagata, Nicholas Nwamanya. You're very welcome today.
Thank you, sir.
I know we have a lot in store today, and time is not on our side. But we are telling our viewers today about the independence celebrations and how they went. The 63 years since they lowered the Union Jack and hoisted the Ugandan flag. And we're talking about Samson Monday returning home. We're talking about Besigye addressing the judge about the mode of the trial and the complaint to the Judicial Service Commission. We're talking about the new IGG, Betty Kamya, hands over soon to a new lady, Justice Aisha Batala. We're going to tell you the story and details of that. We're also talking about the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. We'll tell you who it is, the news that came in today, and then the story of the errant police officer, Clive Nsiima Barigye. And we're also talking about Uganda's digital number plates and surveillance and security. I know you can't wait to dig deep into that. And then we will tell you more what is to come on the campaign trails. We are digging right into it, and let's start with our first story, the independence journey.
Yes.
It was celebrated yesterday on Thursday. It came up with the Uganda Cranes win, which capped the day. But let's talk about the celebration and what it represents. It was held at Kololo. There are rumors, of course, from the First Sun and the CDF saying that they are moving on from going district to district to host independence celebrations, and that they would all and always be at the Kololo ceremonial grounds. But be that as it may, most of the analysts and the newsrooms have been talking about the story of the dying spirit of patriotism, and also how Ugandans are a little bit detached. So today we're discussing the journey of 63 years vis-a-vis how Ugandans feel indebted to their motherland.
Well, thank you so much, Harold. And good week, Ugandans. Special week. The Constitution made 30 years. And of course, coincided with our Independence Week. However, talking about patriotism, I think that is not blind love to the nation. Contrary to what many people think it should be. It's not blind love to the nation, especially a nation that has been marred by a regime. So that every mention of Uganda is almost as if you're talking about the NRM. You're talking about the regime that has been in power for the last 40 plus years. So that brings a little bit of distance between the people and the nation. Because what should the nation be? What should the country be? What should the state be that we should be patriotic to? It should be the police. Things that are non-partisan, things that bring our identity, that serve us, should be the police, should be the military, should be the state organs, organs, should be the things that are supposed to serve us have shifted. Things that are supposed to remain neutral, people are supposed to take pride and identity in, have shifted and are being led by political appointees, are being led by people who openly, decide to not serve the state as the Constitution is supposed to say, but serve the regime. So there is a very strong bond that people associate the state with the regime with. What does that mean? That means that anyone who is distressed by the regime is therefore distressed by the state.
And this government has been very deliberate about creating the identity from the Ugandans and the love for their nation. We have now patriotism clubs in schools. We have Chankwazi, Nali, the Leadership Institute, and almost all the institutions that are pro-government. If you're an employee there, then you are first taken there. People who do not relate call it indoctrination, but people who have attended sometimes say that they are driving people to a reminder of the love for nation. Is it something that we can boast of after 63 years?
Harold, patriotism is not taught, and that is a mistake that we make. Patriotism is like a spirit that flows from above. It's supposed to even start from the leaders. Do the leaders show that they love this country? Does the infrastructure that we have
Demonstrate love for motherland.
love for the motherland? 63 years when our ratio of debt to GDP is over 50%, I think almost 52%. Look at the infrastructure.
Nicholas, what's the best thing that has happened to Uganda in 63 years of independence? Give me two. Let's talk about the end of the war post-86. I think that's a good thing.
The war of 86.
No, because we had a series of bloodshed stemming from as early as when Obote attacks the palace in Buganda and up to 86.
Okay, honestly speaking, I think that you can't say that. We can debate and say that maybe the coming of Museveni was a very good thing at the start because it stopped unstable regimes, bloodshed, and political instability and everything. But I think that after post maybe 2006 or so, which is coming to about 20 years ago, I think the achievements that the NRM had in those first 20 years of its rule have been watered down through the love to hold on to the power. Now taking the country almost back to where it was found in 1980.
So it's a cycle coming back.
When you listen to the reasons, if you've read so many books, you've read Mustard Seed, you've read the book of
the late Kazora, Betrayed by My Leader.
Kazora, every war veteran that wrote a book, Katirima, the Ruchikires, Miriam Matembe, every autobiography you have read justifies why these people left university, left their homes, left their families, put them in danger, because they didn't know how Obote would react to know that your son is in the bush. Yeah. And they decided, you know what, it's worthy that we can shed blood for this country. When you look at the reasons why they decided to go to the bush, and you reflect on today's society, trust me,
they would go to the bush again.
They would go to the bush again.
I'll give you two. I think for the 63 years, what breathes life of the motherland, and for me, it's the semblance of peace, that we are not in what we call duka duka. And Nicholas, openly, I think our sportsmen have done us good. Our athletes, even in the circumstances that they do.
Yes.
It's something that you watch, and story of the Uganda cranes, even in Istanbul, right, story of our Olympics performances.
Our sportsmen, and maybe that's a topic we should talk about someday, are doing us proud in spite of
the system not enabling them.
In spite of the system, in spite of the budgetary, you know what is happening in the league. We talked about it last
last episode.
One man just comes and reigns a thing, and it must happen, and there's no one who is concerned. The fans have no say. The club presidents are being forced to play. But I think the other achievement, honestly, was the fight against the scourge of HIV back in the 90s.
And
I think
polio.
Uganda.
Yes.
Polio is I think worldwide, but our response to HIV, I think, made us stand out. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, I think Uganda was one of the first countries to really, really, really fight that scourge. The semblance of peace, well, yeah, I'll concede that because
depending on how you define peace, anyway. I think the UN has defined it as it's not the absence of war.
If you're talking about the absence of war, then definitely over the past many years, apart from the northern incursion in the north, then we have achieved that kind of thing. Considering where we came from,
the history.
The history, yes.
We shift guns during the independence celebration, and I'm using the word we shift guns very carefully. Soldier number 069 of the NRA, Colonel Samson Monday, returned to the country. Now, for the context of the viewers, Samson was very vital in the fight that brought this government, and participated in the attack of Kabamba with Chefe, I think.
Chefe Ali.
Yes, Chefe Ali. And later in the aftermath, after they took power, he is the gentleman that was accused, among very many things, of conniving with Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye to try to topple the government. He was arrested and, in his own story, tortured And when he was released, instead of facing the trial, among other things, he fled to Rwanda. And then after reaching Rwanda, he formed, along with Anthony Chakabale, who died, I think, this year.
I think a few months ago.
Yes, a few months ago.
Months or weeks.
Yes, and they started the People's Redemption Army, a rebel group that did something in Eastern Congo and didn't advance towards Uganda. And then later they shifted to Sweden in Stockholm. The story is that he made a surprise appearance during the independence celebrations at Kololo yesterday. And he was basically saying that he's glad to be back home and is ready to add on the developments. NBS ran a special edition of the story and an interview, and he said that, yes, he was tortured, but there was kauhukumi. In government, that Museveni didn't have a lot of access, and wherever he tried to complain, it wouldn't get to him. But he was tortured and he was not treated in a nice way, and that's how he ran away. I would also take our viewers and remind them that he did a special interview in 2013 with the Daily Monitor, where he was directly attacking Museveni and actually blaming him for the insurgency in northern Uganda. Among the other things that he was blaming the government for, and why he started a rebel movement and why he was opposing the government. He says now that he apologized to Museveni, who has forgiven him, and he had a lot of explanation to do, but Museveni said, don't explain anything. I have forgiven you. Please come back home and start a new life. And he said he's back home. It's a story of forgiveness for Museveni's enemies, in quotes. What did you take of, what did you read into the story?
I had said here before that Museveni is a perfect example of keep your friends close and keep your enemies even closer. I think we talked about the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, that most of the people from the regimes of Amin or Bote, the ones that were vetted to know that these were just holding power, that is all. They have no ambition. They stayed, most of them languishing in poverty, because they never used to really loot a lot or something. Most of them even stay here and live among people who tortured, killed, most of them have gone dying over the years because of age and stuff. So if you look at the history of Museveni, you can see that he likes to keep his enemies closer. General David Sejusa, forgiven. Anthony Chakabale, forgiven.
Samson Monday.
Samson Monday.
You're skipping Rwakasisi.
Forgiven. Rwakasisi, forgiven. Those of Ranga were forgiven. Amin's henchmen, so many people from the past regimes. Yeah. Even some former presidents were forgiven and came here and, have died off. So it's a track record. But
I get you.
Kano Monday Samson was a victim of circumstances. His record before, he was one of the first officers alongside Anthony Chakabale, alongside Seranga, were the first officers that were victims of the internal politics of the NRA when they came from the bush in the early 90s.
They had voices, they had views to air, which was not...
Views to air, they had voices, and they were the first people who started to see a divergence between what they believed would happen, because these people were commanders. They were the true heart, the true spirit of the struggle. So they knew exactly what they were fighting for, what they were sacrificing for, and what they hoped to see. So when the early 90s come, after the honeymoon of the 80s, between 86 and 90, when the honeymoon ends and national building starts, they start to see disparities between what was promised, the direction the country is supposed to be moving, and what's supposed to be going on ground. So they start to air out their views and everything. So one is accused of, there was, I think, one who was accused of burning the stores, so many things that were brought. They were put in dungeons and everything. So after that, as if rehabilitation process, now Kano Kizza Besigye comes on the scene in 2001.
Yeah, that's true.
Now when he comes on the scene in 2001, everyone that had carried this discontent and everything was linked, either out of conviction, allied with Kizza Besigye, or was thought to be in alliance to the voices of defiance. So that's why when that wave of Kizza Besigye could not leave those gentlemen in the country, So they made their way out. However, exile is very hard. So many years without family,
Home.
without being at home, without... Now he's a frail old man. What case should Museveni build? Can he mobilize something that can destabilize this country at his age? I don't think that he can. So to say that Museveni has forgiven him is to say that he has absolutely nothing. He's of absolutely zero harm. And the point comes, like we discussed, I think last time or something, in opposition spaces, when you ask yourself, well, most ask themselves, most that we talked about last time, the Nanda Ramafabis, the Abudu Katuntus, they come to a point where they say, we have opposed demand for 30 years. Maybe some of them thought this of Anthony Chakabari and thought maybe they would outlive Museveni. Maybe by term limits, it's removed. Age limit, it's removed. Natural causes, the man is here. So they say, you know what, let's just go home and die from home.
I get you. Even the timing that his close colleague, Chakabari, just passed on, because these have literally moved the same journey from the bush to their arrest, to fleeing in Rwanda in 2001, to leaving Rwanda to Eastern Congo and then to Stockholm. There were actually reports as early as 2009 of a delegation that was composed of former fellow Bushmen that were negotiating peace talks between Chakabari and Monday with the government of Uganda. So it's not... Ugandans see the story, but it starts as far back, even the negotiations as far back from 2009 when they left Eastern Congo and the government knew that they were just running away and they had settled in Stockholm, Sweden. So it's a story that dates back, and we wait to see how he will reintegrate, or if there's any other story.
He's just going to get a farm and go and sit there, because I don't think he's going to be part of any national building at his age, and removal from society, or maybe a small post to just keep him.
You talk about national building, and for our viewers, we are shifting to another topic, our teachers for humanities. During our episode in week 40 of 2025, we talked about the teachers' strike, which started on the 15th of September. That is still going on. During the independence celebrations, Museveni, while addressing it, called these teachers mercenaries and that they had betrayed their nation. More of, we have no solution for you right now in terms of what you are striking for, and salary increment, and said that he actually gave an example that while they were in the bush, they would sacrifice everything, that as long as you had a gun and bullets, you didn't even care about clothes. Why are these ones sacrificing their nation for personal interests?
You see,
he also emphasized, Nicholas, which I actually want you to weigh in, he defended his position of increasing the salaries for science teachers as opposed to the humanities who are striking. From the 15th of September when the strike started, and UNATO coming to intervene and emphasize the position of the strike, up to today, when the candidate classes are supposed to be preparing for exams, the strike still goes on.
You see, this is not a war. To be honest, when you've gone to war to fight, you've abandoned everything, you're living in the bush, you have something to eat and a gun, go and fight. But you cannot directly translate that we made a sacrifice then. Real life is happening. They have no fees for their own children. They have no medical cover. There's no insurance policy. They need money for medicine. They need to put a roof over their families. These problems that they are facing are real. They are not mythical. They are not, they are real, that affect them. That even if they wanted to sacrifice the way you sacrifice in the bush, they are unable. When their child is at home, languishing at home while they go every day, And what makes it unfair, like we said in the past episode, is the fact that their science teachers are earning double what they earn, which we said is unfair. Yeah? But I am shocked and surprised. And then we talk about patriotism. These are the same people that are these the same people that are supposed to love their country?
I get you.
The same people that are supposed to celebrate independence. What are they independent from? Yeah? So, and I'm shocked to see crowds they gather at Museveni's campaigns. Most of those people are people whose children are in public schools. They are not being taught. National exams are coming. They're the ones who are not going to perform well. But they carry them. They come to Museveni's campaign trail, and he's telling them lies. Let me tell you, it's not even that it's not even more of that their salaries have not been increased. It is that most of it is that the science teachers have been unfairly salaries have been unfairly increased. So you get to ask yourself, are we considered less? But also, for how long have the teachers asked for a salary increase? For how long have all voices said this is unfair to increase only part of the teachers?
Even in the name of the national policy that you're trying to push for.
And not the rest of the teachers. Yeah? But there is money to give to artists. There is money to give to ghetto
coffee
people.
parks.
There is money to give to Nelson Tugume at the coffee park. There is money to give to everyone else, except intern doctors that you're promoting sciences and teachers that are supposed to be teaching our children. I don't think I am in support of the teachers to sit down. Is it unfair to the students that are at home? Yes, it is. But the question is even bigger. Does the government even care? That
you see, I worry, and let me weigh in on this, that most of the things that the Fountain of Honor speaks about, sometimes there are serious issues that are talked about passively. There's an issue that he has talked about consistently regarding our girls that are in the Middle East, that are in the Gulf. And he mentions it passively of what are you going to do in the Middle East and when there is a motherland here. But the influx or the numbers that are in the Middle East reflect of the system failures that are here in the motherland. Talk about unemployment, talk about the frustration after academic, because some of these guys are sharp brains, even science-related teachers. We are not talking about how many doctors are leaving Uganda now to go work in Kenya and other countries. We're not talking about Ugandans who are just working through papers to just go and live in Canada. It's the cream of the country that is being depleted at the expense of a leader who just chooses to speak about matters passively without knowing the root cause. It's more of not being in touch with the reality. And it's rather sad. I also stand with the arts teachers on this. I think they should hold their ground. And I think the plan that was proposed to say that we are going to increase your salaries in the next financial year and with certain percentages is not sustainable, because there was a past promise like that that was not fulfilled. So you would want to understand where they are coming from and support them in holding their ground.
You see, the problem that I said a few episodes back on this is that we lack consistency of policy in Uganda. What we deal with...
We are too ad hoc.
Yes, what we deal with is the symptoms rather than the disease. What is the symptom? Ghetto people are now supporting Bobi Wine. Let me put money in their circle. Ask yourself, why are they supporting Bobi Wine? Why are they anti-government? Look at their ghettos, look at their households, look at their income. Do they have income?
It's housing, it's education. It's health sector.
Healthcare.
Yes.
Employment. Social services, like, do they have clean water? Do they have
sanitation places?
Places. That is so that when policy is being designed, from design to implementation to budgeting to everything, it's a wholesome policy that is able to cure the symptoms from the very source.
Not hacking of now butcherman.
Yes, not now. Now let's get Catherine Sasura. Now they have get on Eddie Kenzo. What sway does Eddie Kenzo have? Yeah, do people even consider him someone they can follow? He has absolutely no sway. But now, because these people who Abam Somenamum, the president, tell him no, now get and the Balams and whatever. That's all they know. They know the artists. I can get you.
For the Ugandans who are watching, on the very point that Nicholas is speaking about, it didn't make national news, but it became the modus operandi for everyone in the arts, from musicians to go and flock northern Uganda to meet the general in the north. And what did they want? Handouts.
Yes.
Up to when the man got tired, because It didn't make sense. And he said, guys, they would book out hotels.
Yes, for months.
For months to just go and
wait.
And wait until they have a chance. And people got fame and money and in that, even blockering on how to see. It's instead of solving the biggest issues of industries, we are hacking the problem.
And that's what Bobby Wine said. He said that instead of us going to Guru, telling artists, let us fight for a space that can allow us to work. Because you see, handouts are good, but how sustainable are they? And I love the fact that the man has chased most of them away.
Yeah.
Because even when you listen to the rhetoric, and I'm sorry to go down this road because some of these things disturb my mind that I don't even want to think about. When you go down the rhetoric of some people like Bebe Cool, you find a person who is now so glued to handouts that he has absolutely lost a place where he thinks he can do music, and music takes. Say, government, I think there was a video circulating. Government, if you million tano za dola. Speaking, then million tano, but no million bidi, million. He's throwing around. Do you know what $2 million can do for medical interns?
That's close to 8 billion.
Yes. But to him now, they have reached a place where handouts are now what should spur the industry forward. Not the other way around.
It's the regime encouraging it, Nicholas.
Yes.
Because you can't hope when there's no basis of it.
I understand, but honestly speaking, I know the regime is guilty and I want to hold them to that account, But post-COVID restrictions, I don't think that a person who is not closely associated with Bobby Wine, maybe you can make a case for the Sahas, the Bobby Wine's people. I don't think that Bebe Cool has put a show in Nambori and they block it from happening. When was the last time he held a concert? But why should he call the concert?
But
how much is he going to get from a concert
when he people who are above the poverty line, leaving people in deep poverty that need these things?
That's what...
Because we are politicizing services.
And that's what this lady, as I was said sometime, watched her interview, some clips on X, and she was saying that I shouldn't be taking from what the common man needs this.
More than I do.
And this is not a story of just the artists. This is a story of almost every sector. Except it is not sustainable.
We cross from the classrooms, we cross from the theaters, we go to the courtrooms.
Yes.
There's a story of a gentleman that we have spoken about in every episode that we've held here. Dr. Chiza Warden Chifefe Besigye, who has been in prison for as long as this year started. And the latest is that he finally got his chance to address. We talked about this in week 40 and 41. It also makes the story that this week he appeared again in court and sent through the letter. He had sent through the letter by the time we appeared here, but now he openly addressed, which I think will be a speech that every Ugandan will need to listen to. But in that clip and speech, he was accusing the judge of either incompetence or being biased about their matter. And he drew reference from their bail application, saying that the way the judge handled it, saying that he didn't have any information, that they had been in a government custody for a long time, didn't make sense because they had attached that evidence. He also let the judge know that he had officially complained about him before the Judicial Service Commission. On top of that, he says that he should not be in a position to try him and proceed with the matter, especially even in the ruling for the mandatory bail, where the judge said, instead of wasting your time on bail, let's proceed with the case. And Besigye was saying that shows a predetermined mind by a judge not to give him bail. He says all that, and in the end says, you're either incompetent or you're biased and you can't try me. And he handed over a hard copy of the complaint that he had written to Judicial Service Commission complaining against Justice Baguma. What is the update on your story in terms of our justice system, political prisoners, and what we've been discussing since we started this story?
Dr. Chiza Besigye is not on trial. What is on trial is our justice system. What is on trial is our democracy, is the independence of the judiciary. And consequently, like I've said, our democracy. This what is on. If there is anything this case has laid bare, it's a justice system in this country.
And separation of powers.
Yeah, and of course, separation of powers. Because, I mean, we can blame Justice Baguma is who we see. But in the case of all political prisoners that we have seen, you know, I think that even the blind can see and the deaf can hear that these are orders coming from the man from the high castle, someone over and above. We still have prisoners that were arrested in Kalangala in the last election cycle. We still have them in prison. They're still in. 4 or 5 years later, this is another election cycle.
No trial commencement, no nothing.
Nothing. No charges brought against them. They were just arrested. Yeah? We have people who disappeared, have not been heard from. We had people picked from Noop, not given, told why they have been arrested. Just arrest them, make a case later. We have people who came from prison and lost their lives. We have the Sajirinyas, who up to now, it's not clear how their case ended.
We can't talk about the story of the late boxer, Senyange.
Yes.
Zebra.
Like,
wrong investigations, wrong surveillance. You kill someone on site, and then the president is apologizing like it's a cat that has died. It's a human being, a father, a son, a Ugandan.
A life has been cut. This is every person of them is a story. They have dependents, they have parents, they have families, they have future aspirations, they have ambitions, they have parents, they have everything. So when you cut a life like that or put someone in prison indiscriminately like that, it causes the discontent that you see among the population now. But like I said, Baguma, we can blame him all we want, but I don't think that he's making the decision. I don't think that the orders are coming in from him. Everything that he in the last court appearance, he was even scared of Besigye airing out his views in open court. He just said, no, scribble them down. Maybe he went and consulted and said, no, now allow him to speak. Can you imagine that? What are you scared of that a prisoner is going to say?
So it's a really, really sad story, and I don't think it represents what justice should represent.
Yes.
The blind lady has one patch, transparent, and can see how things. It's really, really unfair. It's really, really unfair. And but I also want to switch on that and tell Ugandans and everyone watching that Uganda has a new IGG. And the news broke this week that Justice Aisha Naluzze Batala is the new IGG, replacing Betty Kamya Turomwe. And for the little brief about Justice Aisha is that she has been a judge at the Land Division, formerly in acting capacity, and then confirmed in the course, I think, of this year. And before that, she was in the DPP's office, the Director of Public Prosecutions. And she now holds the mantle from Betty Kamya to take on the Inspectorate of Government. Today, she was confirmed. I think today she went for vetting before Parliament for confirmation, alongside with the deputies who have been retained, including Anne, I think, Musinguzi, who retained her position. Two sides of the story. One, the deputies have been retained. Betty Kamya had reapplied for this job, but Museveni considered and appointed Justice Aisha. The other side of the coin is that Justice Aisha is a sister to Obed Lutale, who has been arrested along with Besigye for some time. So for the Kamulegea family, for those who know it in Kampala, it's bitter and sweet, and the media houses have been running that. But let's go beyond the appointments. And of course, in an interview today after the vetting process, she was emphasizing how they want to increase the prosecutions of the people who are charged with corruption and show the people that they are working. Do we have a redundant office in the names of the Inspectorate of Government?
Everything that happens in one sector or one office are not reflective of just that office. You have to look at the entire system, how the whole system operates. The IGG's office, I don't remember the last time they tried what we can call a big fish or a big case land blockbuster. Money has been stolen. They're always going.
And not that the whales are not biting.
Yes.
The whales bite, but there's no one to hold them accountable.
Yes. To further see how powerless they have become over the years, Museveni realized that he needs another unit that is now closer, that is more aggressive, that gets its power.
In the names of the State House and corruption.
Yes, that gets its power more directly from him, because he felt like a government system that is removed and is part of, may not, so he had instituted the State House and corruption unit. Now,
so you have the DPP,
yes,
who can try corruption. You have the IGG. You have the anti-corruption court.
Yes.
You have the State House and anti-corruption unit.
Now, the reason why most of these agencies, like every other thing, keeps being multiplied is because some people think maybe these people are not powerful enough.
And also you have the parliamentary commissions.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But what makes them powerless is, again, the appointing authority that makes them powerless, because if the appointment authority backed the IGG's office,
the system that we are talking about,
to say, no, we know Mawanda stole money of cooperatives, let him go to jail.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And his CC Namoju,
yes,
and they are co-accused, again, allegedly, that, then the IGG the office starts to function. But when some people are shielded, some people are bypassed, some people are untouched or untouchable, that is why people take them as a joke every time they come out. Next time she came out pleading with now us, that now you're the common man, you're the one who's affected by corruption, please report anyone that you know is corrupt. But we have people that we know are corrupt.
2 stories on that, Nicholas. I remember when we were discussing the corruption story during the anti-corruption walk, when the Fountain of Order led a walk. And there were statistics of how Uganda had the best systems of fighting corruption. One wise gentleman said, we are the ones that need the systems because we are the ones that have the corruption. But be that as it may, the deeper story is when Betty Kamya was coming at the helm of this office, and she was fronting the lifestyle audit to say, if Nicholas is a teacher in Kashozi Boarding Primary School and he's earning 800,000, how is Nicholas driving a car, buying land, and educating the child in Weranyanji, in Barai School, in Intari? Hypotheticals. So if we can see the lifestyle audit, we can see who's corrupt. And the first time Museveni addressed the issue of lifestyle audit, he says, Betty, that's a good idea, but I don't encourage it. Because now the people who have been stealing money here to use it here will take it outside the country and use it from there, and we shall lose twice. Is that a spirit and a system that is willing to fight corruption?
Exactly what I was saying, that the efforts of the IGG, what the IGG could have done, and that's why I don't think that there's going to be a difference between Betty Kamya and the new lady. It's the office. It's the office.
System defeats intentions.
Exactly. It's the system that they inherit, not personality, not ambition, not what you're able, not competence. It's that if the system does not change, they are operating under the same circumstances. I think there was another, if I remember correctly, the president saying that the soldiers, she should go solo on soldiers. Can you imagine? So corruption now becomes a thing of pick and play. It's a matter of who. So soldiers, don't go hard on them. Lifestyle audit, leave it, because people may take their money. Let them steal, but invest the money here with us.
And you have public leaders. For example, the story of Joyce, the lady you were talking about, in I think around is it Mawokota? The lady who had issues with cooperatives and I think iron sheets. You mentioned the name, and when I think leaders went there and after she was released from prison, she holds a Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And then national leaders go there to say, you guys should be happy that when she steals, she brings and shares.
Yes. Yes. Corruption in Uganda must be fought from the head, you know.
Fish rots from the
But
head.
when people who have been in scandal and scandal after scandal are as if rewarded with cabinet posts, allegedly, so many, I could mention names, but maybe we don't even need to mention names. People who are some of them were even convicted. They brought, after a few years out of cabinet, maybe 5, they are brought back to cabinet. Some people are battling land grabbing, so many things about their cabinet ministers, and they use their power to. So you say that we don't. There is no national will to fight corruption.
No national will to.
And corruption has now become, with the commercialization of politics, corruption has become a need for national leaders because they need money to put in a SEC election.
Our politicized, our monetized politics.
Imagine someone who had a SEC election, they had an NRM primary, they had a SEC election,
and now the
general election. They're going to stand on a post in parliament. How much money does that kind of person need?
You just described our speaker.
Did I?
Because primaries, I think she escaped that. And then SEC posts, and then you have general elections, even when there has been issues about the opponents. And so then you win the general election.
When you see her at a rally welcoming back a corrupt person from prison, saying, yeah, they stole money and brought it here, don't ask yourself why.
She is a beneficiary of the system.
Allegedly.
Let's switch guns, Nicholas, and I hope you get home tonight. There's a story that's been making rounds. We are talking about a story, but also the bigger issue. And one of the stories that made rounds in the newsrooms is the issue of Clive Nsiima. Clive Nsiima is a police person, ASP, and for people who saw the clip, I think it's running and the director will run it. It's a police person that was taking fuel and then went to a fuel shop and then slapped an attendant. The report that was taken from the station is that she had, I think, bought a few things, including sexual protection. And then there was a discussion about him not paying 30,000, and then bang, she slaps, aware that there was a CCTV recording, because in his speech he says, even when those cameras are watching, I can slap you and we go to court tomorrow. Slaps the lady and goes out. And the story makes rounds after it had broken by one of the senior journalists in the country on X. And then there was a rumor, and even police came to talk about it. In the aftermath of that story, we got other information that the gentleman, one who I think was in charge of expatriates in the oil region, had knocked down, allegedly, I think, a pregnant woman and a baby. And that's how he was demoted from SSP to the rank that he currently owns or holds right now. And 2, that this is the son of the deceased king of Ankole and a brother to, of course, now the prince of Ankole, Samson Barigye. It made news, and of course people are questioning if there's progress. It's in addition to other stories of, for example, a policeman who shot down a guy who was driving a tukutuku with water, I think in December last year. It's making 1 year. No one has been brought to book up to now. What did you read into that story, and what are we seeing
for starters,
more and more? Because we are covering these and more stories of security indiscipline, and also not holding them by the book, and people seeing justice to be done.
For starters, I want to thank the president for abolishing the facade that was the Ankole kingdom and not allowing it to stand. Otherwise, these Nicopomps would be the ones in charge. And you can imagine
by hereditary right.
But I think the chickens have come home to roast. The circle has gone round. We are slowly but surely going back to the era where security forces had the right to torture, to maim, to kill,
and get away with it.
And not even get away with it. You thank them for just sparing your life. This was the daily happenings of the Obote and the Amin regimes. And here we are, full circle. So many cases that we can talk about and the president's pride used to be in the discipline of the security forces, because that was a very critical
representation of the regime.
Yes, yes, and he was proud about it, because it was what we used to describe the past regimes was the arrogance of the security forces. Security forces were in charge of everything, so their arrogance in just about anything. They could just come and take land, take money, take a shop, take your wife, just do anything with absolute impunity. Why? Because the power was in their gun. To the point where, I don't know if the story is true. It could be, so many, because the Amin regime, where they said soldiers don't even need to be paid. You carry a gun, why do you need to be paid?
You need to be paid.
The gun is your payment. This is your leverage. This is, your exchange. Maybe that's not true. That's just exaggeration.
Maybe it was a representation of how dead the system was.
How bad the system was. And we are coming full circle. Last year, or the other year, there's a gentleman who was killed. They were driving a small truck and they blocked someone's. And a soldier called Bahati came out and killed the guy who was driving.
That's the
Nyongeza.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For blocking. Not even blocking, because town, there's jam in town. Sometimes
there was traffic.
Sometimes there's nowhere you can go, even if you want to give way to those.
That story is about to make 1 year, by the way.
It's about to make 1 year.
Yes.
That gentleman has never been found, has never been reported
There's
about.
There's a gentleman on X who runs a daily update of this is day this of.
Yes.
And where is this police person?
Where is that person? He's nowhere to be found. Another person ran into street kids at Acacia Mall there. The person is well known, the car is there, the evidence is there. Have you ever seen any prosecution in court or any compensation, anyone following up the case? No. This happening. Yes, the police has come out to say we are investigating, maybe he's in, but there is absolutely, I don't know. Today I was not online, but is there anyone who has showed where each court he has been produced in, which remand, where he's been remanded to?
And it's over 72 hours.
And they are saying he's a repeated offender. He is a repeated offender. But the police says we have no record of him being a. So I think that the circle has come full. The continued protection with impunity of the security forces, because they are connected, must come to an end.
We take a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll be telling you if NUP is going to get back the IPOD money. We'll also tell you about the surveillance on your number plates or your next car. So don't go away, and we'll come back and cover all those stories as we come to the end of week 41 of 2025. Nicholas, it's a story that's been brooding for long. Our digital number plates. The Independent newspaper ran a story this week talking about the details of the Uganda Intelligent Transport Monitoring System, the new number plates, and talking about how they are more of a tool of surveillance, more than just identification of vehicles. The Ugandans by now know the story of the company that is based in Russia that is running the system and how it was battling bankruptcy, the offices in Kawempe, and how there's no access by anyone that cares to know what is going on. But the opposition comes in and of course, there's also at head office in Naguru for police. There are, I think, around 81 police men that were trained on how to use this system. And there's a code on those number plates that can tell, that has an embedment of what we know as the radio frequency, that they can tell exactly where you are at what time and when you got there. The opposition is coming out to say that this is a lot of information to have. The government is defending it to say that they are fighting crime. The opposition is saying that it will be used as a weapon to even stifle opposition politics more and more. Joel Senyonyi, the leader of opposition, speaking about this, said that you can have an example of how many cameras have been put towards Bobby Wine's home since he became Bobby Wine as we know him right now. And it's a story of the company that is running it, how the contract was shifted from the original the provider for number plates to this Russian company, and the insecurity that might come with it. And in addition is the new features, if you have renewed your ID and what is taken, the eyes and all that information for personal identification of how safe personal information is in this kind of setup. That's what we're discussing today.
The way the intelligence system evolved, the way the story starts is so shady. However, what is at debate is, do Ugandans trust? Because this is not the first country. We actually coming to this revolution late, where we are late to the party. Where, countries like America, social security numbers, passport numbers,
driving
cameras,
license,
driving license, everything is connected. Insurance, everything. So the state literally knows where you are, where you have checked into a hotel. That information can be availed. I was watching a documentary actually, how I think last night, at some point, I think about 10 years ago, how Chinese intelligence hacked the Marriott Hotel and stole data of 500 million users and profiled it, so they knew who
uses the hotel,
who comes with who.
Which branch of Marriott was this?
Marriott International. That was Marriott in America. It had merged with a smaller hotel. So with merged their systems, the smaller hotel had been hacked, so they got here and they classified that data into, so they could know who the spies are by how they come, what they do. And that one is called, actually, there's a name they give it from the Russian intelligence, where you already know Harold's schedule. So you can set him up. You know what he likes. You know what conversations he's going to get into. You know he's a lawyer, he's this. So it's easy to set up Nicholas as a spy. Come into your space, because we know where you will chill from, come and find you in a hotel lobby and complain about something about the law. You're like, you're a lawyer. So we bond. We start to talk, and it's
easier to get to you and through you.
Listen in your room, because you know you're going to come in. You come in every first Monday of every month. So we are late to the party. Most of the countries already have a lot of that information about the people. They have the intelligence systems. They can track number plates. But the question is, do Ugandans trust that kind of information with the state? It's not about the state having that data. It's because, like Senyonyi was reasoning, all the other righteous policies that have come, because cameras
are politicized in the end.
Cameras are here. How do cameras come? Cameras come after these rampant shootings of Kawesi. Actually, after Kawesi is killed in Kulambiro, they say, let's register all SIM cards.
Yes.
Because apparently the people were talking about, then you could just go and get a SIM card, no register. It's not attached to anything. So they said, no, there's not going to be any communications apart from on the SIM card. Let's go and register them. We did registration of SIM cards. I think at that time I worked in NERA when we did that registration, where people were coming in circa 17, 18.
Rest in peace.
When other shootings start to happen, they say, let's have cameras. Cameras start to come. Then cameras soon after start to be used as a tool of...
That is after Chirumira is killed?
I think.
Yes, Afande, yes.
So many people died there.
Yes.
Chirumira, the Yellow Man, Abiriga,
yes,
the
Kawesi,
Major.
Yes. And Katumba Wamala's daughter.
Katumba Wamala's daughter, but that's quite recent. So they bring cameras. And like Josephine was saying, these cameras that were supposed to be a righteous tool in fighting crime are now deployed as a surveillance tool against the opposition leader of parliament, putting cameras over and above his fence to monitor anyone, any entrance, any exit, anything that comes into his space is monitored by the state overtly, not covertly by buying close to his home to put, no, overtly. Put cameras into your compound. You can see them so that they see They know.
They even know that you know
Yes.
that they are watching.
Yes, and this is that's the arrogance of our intelligence services. So
And
that's
even
why.
even in Kabule, where the party
Yes,
offices
uh-huh,
are, I think they've put 2 or something.
It's against that background that people will continually ask, if we give this information to government, how sure are we? Because the precedence that has been set is these righteous policies that should come to fight crime, to fight, bring social order.
But even if you look into the policy, Nicholas, NITAU, which is the agency that is supposed to do that, and even the legal regime, the Data Protection Act, and the issue of everyone that is worried for this, apart from politicizing it, is we don't have enough technological apparatus to protect this information from even external users of such a company that is battling bankruptcy in its founder nation, Russia. You're giving it a contract, taking it away from a Ugandan company, and then leave alone that the company comes from Russia. You're surrendering information of over 40 million Ugandans in the hands of such a company, and you do not have the technological backup for you, because as we speak right now, up to now, the Russians are still running part of the entity, even when the Uganda police trained some of the officers. What are they doing with that information to the benefit of anyone that can? Because it's getting deeper now. If they have access to the number plate, then have access to your phone number. Then they are interlinking the driving permit to the national ID, which is the intention of what they are trying to do with NIRA and NITAU, to combine these things to be in one place. Are we prepared for what we are moving into, or we are doing basic mistakes to what can put the whole nation at risk?
No, we are naked, Harold, and I don't think that anyone sees it from that angle. You see, most of the things, and I'm sure sometimes when I say these things, some people think maybe it's politicization, it's general pessimism. Most of these policies do not start from how policies should move from inception to giving them enough thought, consideration.
It's someone's deal.
It's someone's deal. Someone just wants that system to be implemented so that there is a difference. That, like we had said here before, that system is $200. Yeah, getting that new number plate.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Equivalent of 740,000
yes,
Uganda shillings.
That's $200. In Kenya, it was less than $50. It was less than 200k Ugandan shillings. It was about 180k Ugandan shillings.
Here and the company says they are printing the number plates here.
Here we are paying 4 times that much. Meaning, people do not see it from the place of the data we are collecting. How is it kept? How do we safeguard it from hackers? If nation states and serious organizations, like I've told you, Marriott, is hacked, and when the gentleman, I think the head of the hotel, went to testify before the congressional committee, he told them the truth, because they threw it to him, and he told them, guys, the truth of the matter is we are not able to protect. We are not set up to protect.
We don't have
against
that technological
nation
capacity. Yes.
states. We can protect against small hackers, but when a nation state like China
that's
rises,
when we look at the federal government.
Yes, rises to say we are going to hack a hotel. We can't. We don't have the capacity, and that's true, because they're set up to be a hotel, not an intelligence back. So they said if it was the normal local hackers, what guys looking to sell credit card information, will be culpable. But if against the power of a nation state, I don't think we have the capacity to handle that, and that is what we are setting ourselves up to. I don't think that we really have the capacity, Nicholas, to protect that data.
Time is fast spent. I want us to switch
but
to
also,
our last
but also
topic.
don't forget the big question, the elephant in the room. Can we trust the state with that data?
That is a very big question that is on the lips of very many people, very many Ugandans, even people beyond the opposition, but every Ugandan really, because it matters who has this information and what they use it.
Because of coming from an agrarian background and we are not a very technology savvy society. So some people take this to be, data.
They can know if they want to know.
Number plate can know when they want to know, but Data protection is actually one of the very, very, very serious things that the kind of thing we are going into, where they know your number plate, know your social security number, which now here I think we call
the NIN.
NIN. Link it with your driving permit. They know where you are. They can track what you're doing. It is very, very dangerous if it falls in the wrong hands.
We discussed our last topic, the callers, and this is a story of NUP and electoral funding in Uganda. It's bigger than the party itself, because the setup, and for the viewers who are listening to this for the first time, is that the Electoral Commission is supposed to release some money to all opposition candidates and parties, political party. But it was qualified that you must be a member of the IPOD, the inter-party organization. Now, NUP was not comfortable with that until they tied that funding to being a member of the IPOD. We recently had the IPOD meet at Kololo with President and these different party heads led by Norbert Mao, who classified the opposition in Uganda: those who can sit and talk with the government, and those who are radical and just don't want to do anything to talk on the table. And NUP was keeping its stance to say that if they are tying the financing of the party to being members of the IPOD, we are out. And several letters were written by the Secretary General, Louis Lubongoya, emphasizing that point. NUP goes to court and files a judicial review application saying that the decision not to give NUP money was ultra-vires. And they seek an order of mandamus to compel them to actually give them the money. Today, Friday, the 10th, the Attorney General has filed an affidavit in reply to that application, saying that that application is overtaken by events because the money has been released to the different political parties. We have seen small parties that even began yesterday, like the Common Man's Party from Nyagwa, footing the budget to even advertise on NBS during prime time. Maybe it's a result of that funding. Now, as of yesterday, NUP put its little tail between the legs and wrote a letter to say, pending the outcome of the case, we are recognized as members of the IPOD and we actually want our money, or our share of the money. Is it now finally dancing to the tune of its tormentor?
Well, to be honest, the space for political funding, I think, following the wave of the last election, government or the regime must have realized that that is a nose that they need to tighten.
I get you.
Because the truth of the matter is that NUP needs the money.
Sure.
And I commend the efforts of the SG and the party to say no.
Let's stand our ground as much as we can.
Yes, as much as we can. However, considering the tightening, of the rope around their nose on political funding, I think it is good that they have said, you know what, we actually need this money, even if it means that we are members of the IPOD. But
I will tell the viewers the parties that were at Kololo. I'm just reading an article from Monitor. It was the Democratic Party, Forum for Democratic Change, Uganda People's Conference, UPC, Justice Forum, JEMA, for Asman Basariwa. It explains why Bobi Wine was, for lack of a better word, stoning him at the campaign in his home area, and then the NRM.
To understand why they would not be, I think it is important for our viewers to understand why would NUP not want to be party to the inter-party organization.
I get you.
That stems actually, I think, from the FDC of Besigye. I think it does not NUP that has started not to want to be a member of the IPOD. Why? Because this Museveni would call the meeting of the IPOD like he was at Kololo, and they would not even speak.
That's true.
They would come to be lectured, to be told what to do, to be put in their place. And so these people said, we thought this is an inter-party dialogue. This is supposed to be some kind of dialogue.
Because it's an organization and a dialogue. It's in the name.
Yes. That is supposed to come here and talk about, just say, electoral reforms, and say, as parties, who are the factors of this election?
I get you.
How do we move
The Supreme Court, in its last presidential election ruling, said, let's do A, B, C, D. What are we doing towards that? How am I shaking your hands on the table, and then when the election starts, you're arresting my supporters?
Exactly. So these people realize, I think Besigye was the first to realize it, that no, actually this has been set up for one man, the president, to come and put them in their place, patronize them generally, and show them what to tell them what to do. No rebuttal, no dialogue, no reform, just a platform where if I can't speak to you anywhere else, at least I will find you here and speak to you. So that is the background of why Noop said no, we should not be party to the IPOD. Also, the belief that being in the proximity of the president is synonymous with being a sellout. So and that is something that is two-way. We can debate the mindset, but also it's actually true that most of the people who have come in close proximity of the president have actually either come to sell out or have actually been forced to give
and it has not yielded to national transformation or the change that they were formerly seeking.
Yes. So when they passed that law, I think it was the same time as the coffee bill, and they took away the UCB, and then the UPDF Act.
Yes.
It was disguised. I don't know. I did not get a lot of attention, but I could see from afar that the purpose of this law is just next year. It's when the election is next year, and here we are. So I think that, but also I don't believe that in this kind of state of things, the way things are going, you've been seeing the campaign trail today. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. I don't think that Noop is going to be given any money. I wouldn't give them money if I was Museveni.
Because you're empowering, you're.
I mean, that's the missing link.
And you have legal justification not to do it, or something to lean on.
Or to kuzabuza them, like anything legal until the election passes, then they can admit them when they don't actually get anything. When they're not going to get any benefit that will put them, that will amplify their voices when the race is still being run. If you have followed the campaign trail, I mean, you've seen the numbers in Nakaseke, the numbers in Chiwogan, Twetwe, Chankwanzi, Muvende, Mitiana. Now they've gone to the Royal Triangle. Yes. The man has crowds. I would not give him money. If this was my competitor, I would not give him money. And I don't think that any money is going to be given to Noop.
So these are just legal gymnastics that might not bear fruit.
It may not be legal gymnastics. Noop is
using every instrument available to get what it wants to do.
Yes.
And it's justifiable in the landscape of things and how the system stifles what they're trying to do.
But like so many things we've talked about today, it's also going to be a case of we can do what we want to do. We can twist the law, we can delay you, we can or outrightly just say no, like they say.
Do what you want.
No, like you've seen the campaigns, how they say, we have booked this speech, we are going there, and they say don't pass there. They say no, but we booked Komamboga pitch, that's where our rally is going to be. Then they say, now first go to Gayaza, go to Kabubu, come from Mukono and rotate and come, So that is a case of outright, no reason why you shouldn't go there, no reason why you shouldn't pass here, but just don't go there.
Don't talk about the story until you know the writer.
Thank you.
We close it for week 41 of 2025. We can't wait to see you in the next episode. But thank you for watching. We ask you to subscribe if you are watching us for the first time, and share the link when you get it so that the next person can watch. And if you also like to advertise with us, you can call the numbers on the screen, as we are hosted at Peloton Spaces. And we thank you very much for watching. See you next week.